So, hello people. I'm going to do a talk, which I normally do in about 30, 40 minutes in 7. So please, it's going to be very fast, so maybe you can play it later and slow it down. I'm going to talk about the search for App-iness and how we're building the future with progressive app apps. So this is me, that's my face, and this is my name with my last name. You can forget about that one. I'm the director and co-founder of a company called Deity, and this is my Twitter handler. So, who knows this screen? Ooh, most of you know, that's nice. Sometimes I'm in a room and always nobody knows it. So what it says is this is the console of the Back to the Future car. And it told us that we were going to the future in 2018, April 23, which means that the future is now, right? So if I check the movie, I see a few things. I see that they told us, they predicted that we would have self-lacing shoes, and we got them. They also predicted that we would have kind of tablets, and we got them too. They then predicted that we would have hoverboards. We got them. But obviously, the biggest trend of 2018 were these things. And I think it comes pretty close to that. So they also said that we would have kind of glasses where we can see computerized things with. And we got them too. They even predicted we would do video conferencing. And we have that too. But the fact that really made me convinced that they predicted that indeed today is the future is that they predicted who would be the supervillain. Because the supervillain would be a blonde guy living in a golden tower. And I think they predicted him right as well. So that means that today is the future, right? This is the future, but is it? Because the state of the mobile web is this. 19 seconds page load on 3G networks. And that doesn't really feel like the future. And especially if I think about that 52% of our users are leaving websites after 3 seconds to load. That's a lot of people leaving if you load 19 seconds. But we are developers, so we said we can fix this, right? So we started our journey to fixing stuff in about 2009, and there was this thing that said HTML5. And then there was this company who said, that's a great idea, I'm going to do this. So they built a Facebook hybrid app with that, and I'm not sure, did anybody ever use this thing? It was the most downloaded app in the world, and it had 1 million reviews on 1 star. It was really bad. And this guy even said, OK, the biggest mistake we made was to have too much HTML5 instead of native. And then at the same time, we said, OK, let's forget about that kind of stuff. We're going to go fully mobile webs, native apps. And then why are we doing that? Well, native apps are really good because they have a very high performance. They have very smooth animations and interactions. They have instant loading, easy access to the home screen, and a super high engagement. I mean, this sounds really cool. But now thinking of the fact that, does anybody know what is the average amount of apps that people download every month? Does anybody have a clue? 0, indeed. It's 0. And why are people not downloading apps? It's because there are some disadvantages there. That we have distribution problems. Apps cannot be indexed by our bots, so we cannot be able to be found in a normal way. Updating is a pain. Application size, memory usage. We have different OS systems. If you want to have a website and an app, you have 3 systems to maintain. And 10% of the revenue goes to the App Store, and sometimes even 30% of that. I mean, that's a lot of money lost. So this is where I call the search for App-iness started, because we want to have the experience of apps, but we don't want to have all the disadvantages. And a lot of things happened in that time, and there was BlackBerry and Chrome and Firefox and all these kind of initiatives popping up to build kind of web apps. But all of them kind of failed because they were non-linkable, and therefore not really part of the internet. If you cannot crawl your content, if you cannot share your content with the world, are you really part of the internet? But luckily, 2016, the web strikes back, and there was this great initiative called AMP. Do you know what AMP means? It's accelerated mobile pages. And they were really great. You had under 1 second page load, 10 times less data, instant access to information, and a 4 times higher click-through rate. The only problem here is that it's a landing page. Only the landing page has this great experience. And after that, the thing is basically still the same thing, right? I'm not swearing in a search, so it's the same thing. And then Google said, let's get super creative, right? Let's turn this around. Let's turn around AMP and turn it into something, and we call it PWA. So basically, what is the main difference between these things? AMP are super fast landing pages. And PWA, that is App-iness. And why is PWA App-iness? Basically because of this. PWA combines the best between native apps and responsive websites. You can do all the cool stuff responsive websites can do, but also all the cool stuff that native apps can do. You can send push notifications, work offline, it can be installed on a home screen, etc. So walking through that, progressive web apps are basically fast, reliable, and engaging. So what do we mean with fast? This is what we mean with fast. Tinder built one, 7 seconds faster. 90% smaller, and more messages, more swipes, and longer sessions. Talking about engagement and adding to home screen, it works. This is a PWA. You can add it to your home screen, and it actually opens as an app. It's not a browser shortcut. It doesn't open a browser. It's a real app. Flipkart did it. 70% more conversion from the home screen. 3 times less data. Obviously, engagement also goes one step further. Push notifications, right? We can do that now. We can actually do this from the web. We can send push notifications on mobile devices from the web. Lancome did that. 8% more purchases and 12% recovered cards coming just by push messages. And the great thing here is they can reconnect with their customers without having their email address, without having their personal information. They can actually reconnect. So who remembers this thing? Anyone? Yeah, good. So this was a machine which made us go online. And you knew when you were online, because you could hear it. It made a noise, and nobody could touch the phone. Because if you would touch the phone, your internet would die. But it's something we don't know anymore today, because we expect to always be online. There is not such a machine anymore telling us we're online. Great thing for that is PWA. PWA Uber did it as well. They are able to load within 3 seconds on 2G. And before, they weren't able to do that. For them, it means they opened a totally new market. Because all the 2G areas, they can now serve their services to. Another website, webshop.nl, Dutch one, it has 7 million products on a lifespan instant search and a time to market of 2 months. And I know it because I built it. And you can see it here as a small video. It has super fast search. You can search within millions of products within no time. And the funny thing is, you see when there is products being searched, there's a small delay. And we actually had to build the delay because it was so fast that the customers didn't see that anything was changing there. So when we did this project, it's basically a headless web shop. And it's a front end, it's connecting with an API to a back end. But the backend is not one system anymore. The backend can be any kind of existing system. And you can then also really easily replace an existing system with another one. So building this is the Lighthouse course we got. 100, 100, 100. And why is it so fast? It's because it's a React.js framework. There is a Node.js server there, and it's full single-page application. Tricky thing about this, if you want to do this, be careful. If you use single-page applications, it can really hurt your SEO if you don't do it right. So we then decided to open source it, because people wanted to use it, and it's called DatiFalcon. And this is a developer toolkit where you can all build your own progressive web apps with. To make it fast and easy for you to use, within 3 steps you can get it up and running, and you can start and try it. So Gartner is giving some numbers about progressive web apps. Is it a new hype, or is it really the next thing? And actually, they're telling us by 2020, 50% of the web is going to be progressive web apps. That means that we're way behind, because we have 1 year to go to fix this. One last thing before the next speaker is up. Progressive web apps is not new, not at all. Because in 2007, on the very first WWDC, where the very first iPhone was introduced, Steve Jobs told us about this. The very first iPhone was built to build progressive web apps with. This is the list he gave us. He said it was going to be Web 2.0. It can integrate with iPhone services, instant distribution, easy to update, secure, and sandbox. And this basically is a progressive web app. So why didn't it work? Why didn't it work then? And why did we have the App Store? And why everything happened the way it did? And it's because of the App Store. They got 30% revenue from everything going through them. So that was my search for happiness. If you have any questions or want to contribute to our project, I will be here. Thank you.